So here we got a truck frame sitting on the ground. Well, it's on jack stands. So suspension is loaded, with the exception of the box, and the cab is missing. But this is able to give us driveline readings with the suspension loaded rather than hanging or with a lift kit or modifications. And you can see how the difference is and look at these angles. So with our mini protractor, we're going to take a measurement here on this yoke coming out of the output shaft of the transfer case. This spot here should be parallel to this output shaft, so this should be a good reading here that we would have. We're looking at about 4.3 degrees, and that's a downward slope. Looking from the front to the rear of the vehicle, it has a downward slope. There we have about 6.6. So we're looking at about just a little over 2 degrees of a working angle at that U-joint. So if we go back to our back or our rear U-joint, we take our measurement reading at the drive shaft here, and we still got about the 6.5 degrees downward angle. And then we're going to take our measurement reading here. Like I said, sometimes it's difficult to get an accurate reading. Sometimes you have to remove the drive shaft to get a really good accurate reading. But it looks like this pinion also has a downward angle of about 4.3, which is identical to our output shaft angle coming out of the transfer case. And that would also have a 2-degree working angle, which would cancel this working angle out also. Now, things that can change, we talked about lift kits can change the angle at the rear of the vehicle. This front U-joint, if this transmission mount, if it were bad, maybe it was completely broke, that would cause this to sag down ½ inch, ¼ inch, full inch. You're going to have a drastic change in drive shaft angle, and that's going to cause you some vibration issues because you changed one angle but not the other. And as it stays right now, everything is nice and new, true. 2-degree angle here, 2 degrees back there. They work great, they cancel each other out. As soon as something changes here, maybe this cross member gets bent, you go off-roading and you do a little jumping, come down on something great big and hard, and you bend that whole cross member, you've just all of a sudden changed that angle. So that's things to look for. If you got an angle change, check your transmission mounts, motor mounts too. If motor mounts go bad up front, that can change some angle even back here even. Everything has to work together. Like I said, when you're back here and you change some angles by, say, adding some blocks between your rear differential housing and your leaf springs, you've all of a sudden changed that angle. What they do is you can buy wedges, and there's basically a wedge shape, thin on one end, thick on the other, and you put them in place in between the differential housing and the leaf springs, and that's going to give you that angle. It's going to tip that rear axle housing. It's going to give you the right angle that you're desired to have. Now, when you order those, you need to know your angles and how much of a wedge you need to have. So that's why you need to measure these angles, know what you're looking for, and then know what to order. Because every time you put on a lift kit or modify the suspension, you need to know these kind of angles and what you need to have as end result.